They began as mere curiosities, small flying devices that seemed capable of only minor disruptions, clearly insignificant in the grand scope of the Ukraine war. But the situation has changed. Drones have evolved. From novelties to indispensable tools, Ukraine's drones have emerged as one of the nation's most crucial defensive assets against Russia. In this video, we take you inside the drone unit that has turned tracking and targeting Russian forces into a relentless, round-the-clock operation reminiscent of a McDonald's assembly line. That unit is the Lasar Group, a team with a history as unexpected as its effectiveness. On January 16th, the Wall Street Journal was granted the rare opportunity to witness the Lasar Group at work. Operating out of a secret bunker, dozens of Ukraine's top drone operators rotate in shifts, ensuring Russian forces never escape the aerial menace that consistently disrupts Putin's invasion. This is a 24/7 operation, meticulously organized along a McDonald's-style model. Each person has a role. Every action contributes to a larger purpose. For McDonald's, the goal is selling burgers. For Ukraine, it is sending Russian troops straight into the grinding realities of war. And the results of this approach have been remarkable, as we'll see later in the video. Yet the Lasar Group's beginnings were far from what one might expect of such a critical military unit. It wasn't founded by a tech prodigy or a career military officer. Instead, its creator was Pavlo Yelizarov, a former television talk show producer turned military strategist. Perhaps it shouldn't be so surprising. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky himself was a comedian with no prior political experience who has become the symbol of the nation's resistance to Russian aggression. Forbes reported in October that Yelizarov is among the many civilians who have created highly effective structures in Ukraine's defense against Russia. As a producer of the TV show Freedom of Speech, Yelizarov's life changed dramatically when Russia invaded his home district of Pechersk in central Kiev. Explosions shook the ground outside, and the war he had never imagined arrived in full force. He became glued to news coverage following every minute of the invasion, until he decided he could no longer be a passive observer. His first step, picking up the phone. Yelizarov called former Ukrainian Defense Minister Oleksiy Reznikov, fully expecting to get no response. To his surprise, Reznikov answered. Shortly after, Yelizarov enlisted in Ukraine's 126th Territorial Defense Battalion, tasked with defending the Darnitsia district from Russian forces. Armed with an AK-47, he organized personnel and resources, built checkpoints, sourced equipment, and repaired the battalion's headquarters, which had been set up in a repurposed kindergarten. During this period, Yelizarov realized he could make an even greater impact. He had roughly $1.1 million in personal funds, of which he invested over $400,000 in the first month, serving as a territorial defender. By early April, as fighting in Kiev subsided, Yelizarov had avoided direct combat, luckily for him and for Ukraine. His next step led him to a newly formed unit of Ukraine's Special Operations Forces, known as the White Wolves, operating in Zaporizhzhia. There, Yelizarov saw firsthand how drones could be deployed in combat, and a new idea took shape, an idea that would eventually become the Lasar Group. According to the Wall Street Journal, Yelizarov purchased an agricultural drone from smugglers who had previously used it to transport cigarettes across the border. We strapped a 120mm mortar shell to it. We carried out the first use, Yelizarov told the outlet. We were thrilled with it. The Wall Street Journal published what appears to be footage from that initial operation, showing the drone hovering over its target. "Hit it," came the command. The mortar fell, and the target exploded. In that moment, Yelizarov likely realized that Ukraine had a low-cost yet highly effective weapon at its disposal. Before summer 2022, the Lasar Group in its earliest form had been established. Operating out of a garage owned by one of the initial drone operators, Yelizarov invested the remaining $680,000 of his personal funds to purchase spare parts from China, which the team used to assemble their first drones. He even donated his own Starlink terminal for the drone's maiden flight. That first drone was destroyed, but Yelizarov recognized the potential and pressed on. Further support came from Mustafa Nayem, then Ukraine's Deputy Minister of Infrastructure, who provided 4 additional Starlink terminals. The group also experimented with drone batteries, discovering a breakthrough by fitting drones with 12.5 amp battery packs instead of just 2. "I didn't understand why a drone should operate for half an hour, at most an hour per shift," Yelizarov told Forbes. A battery pack cost $300, so adding them meant an extra $20,000 per drone. Expensive, but the investment paid off. With such a drone, a pilot could strike 16 pieces of equipment overnight, not just 2. As the Lasar Group expanded, the McDonald's-style operational model took shape. "I'm lazy. I don't like to work," Yelizarov joked with Forbes about his managerial style. Rather than micromanaging, he focused on assembling the right team to ensure the drone operations ran like a well-oiled machine. Just like a McDonald's restaurant, the manager oversees while the team executes efficiently. Nearly all of Yelizarov's hires were civilians. an extraordinary departure from traditional military norms. Nelia, for example, had previously managed an administrative service in a commercial company before joining the Lasar Group. Another innovation was an intelligence team responsible for allocating drones and ammunition, staffed entirely by financial analysts rather than intelligence officers. Their skills in resource management ensured drones reached the most critical locations. As of October 2025, the Lasar Group had 30 pilots, with plans to triple that number. Though staffed largely by civilians, the unit has been integrated into Ukraine's National Guard, becoming one of the country's first official drone units. Yelizarov has not rested on his accomplishments. He has been a key figure in developing Ukraine's emerging army of drones concept. One component of this system is a gamified initiative where drone operators earn points for kills, 12 points for a Russian soldier, 100 for a helicopter, and 120 for taking a hostage, redeemable for drone equipment via Ukraine's Brave One marketplace. A Lasar Group member using the call sign Phoenix told The Telegraph, "It is about competition between units. Everyone wants to be on top." In 2025, Phoenix's unit placed fourth on the leaderboard and is motivated to climb even higher in 2026. Today, the Lasar Group's operations have been honed to a precise science. Starlink allows drones to travel long distances at low altitudes, evading Russian air defenses. Ground crews work closely with operators and navigators at control centers, providing intelligence to guide hundreds of nightly missions. Efficiency rivals that of even the best McDonald's operations. The results speak for themselves. Yelizarov told the Wall Street Journal that as of January 16th, 296 Russian tanks had been destroyed by the Lasar Group's drones. Another 3,150 armored fighting vehicles were burned out or abandoned, while 765 self-propelled artillery units and approximately 5,500 cargo trucks had also fallen victim. In total, the Lasar Group has destroyed over 24,000 units of enemy equipment, severely damaging Russia's operational capabilities and depleting billions from Putin's invasion funds. According to a January 18th report from Army Inform, the Lasar Group has destroyed an astonishing $15 billion worth of Russian military equipment since Putin began his invasion in February 2022. This figure does not come directly from Yelizarov, but from Ruslan Muzychuk, spokesperson for Ukraine's National Guard, who highlighted the staggering impact the Lasar Group has had. We are developing unmanned systems units, and the Lasar Group is among the most effective in Ukraine. Since the start of the full-scale invasion, they have destroyed equipment valued at more than $15 billion, Muzychuk stated, and the destruction continues. On the same day Muzychuk revealed this number, Defense Express reported that the Lasar Group's drone operators had disabled an additional 13 pieces of Russian hardware in the Lyman sector, where Ukraine's 3rd Army Corps is deployed. In coordination with that corps, the Lasar Group took out a fuel tanker, 2 cargo trucks, and 10 armored fighting vehicles. By February 2nd, the group struck again, this time destroying a TOS-1A Sontsepiok heavy flamethrower system stationed in Russia's Belgorod region, using only 4 highly precise FPV drones. With that, the flamethrower was rendered useless. Each of these strikes adds to the Lasar Group's growing ledger of equipment kills. Yelizarov has told the Wall Street Journal that in the future, he hopes to assist NATO members in developing similar unmanned systems capabilities. But before exploring that vision, it's important to understand what the Lasar Group truly represents. This is no auxiliary civilian unit quietly supporting military operations. The Lasar Group has revolutionized modern warfare, turning drones from experimental novelties into essential weapons. The ingenuity and forward-thinking strategy that gave rise to the group are still very much alive in Ukraine today. Drones have forever changed the nature of war, not just strategically but psychologically. Any soldier who has witnessed an FPV drone racing toward Russian positions can attest to this. Before Putin's invasion, threats were primarily conventional: artillery, mortars, aircraft, and missiles. Now, drones hover constantly, an omnipresent danger. Even in semi-open terrain, no soldier is truly safe. Reconnaissance drones could be overhead at any moment. FPV drones may be en route. Zones once considered relatively secure have become death traps. As the national interest noted in June 2025, small and highly maneuverable quadcopters operated by pilots wearing VR goggles, kamikaze drones, proved cheap, stealthy, precise, and psychologically devastating, forcing troops to constantly scan the skies for these tiny invaders. The mental strain on soldiers must be enormous, and Ukraine's innovations keep coming. Drones are no longer confined to the air, they are striking targets at sea as well. Despite having a limited navy, Ukraine has destroyed roughly a third of Russia's Black Sea Fleet, many of these attacks executed by drones. Ukrainian drones have even infiltrated Russian territory. Operations like the daring Operation Spiderweb targeted Russian air bases and aircraft, demonstrating both reach and precision. 2025 has been a breakout year for Ukraine's long-range drones alone, which destroyed equipment valued at $74.1 billion from January through August, over 4% of Russia's GDP during that period. In one extraordinary instance, a drone even airdropped an electric bicycle to a wounded Ukrainian soldier, allowing him to escape danger. The Lasar Group isn't behind every innovation, but it remains squarely focused on eliminating as much of Russia's forces as possible. Yelizarov's vision laid the foundation for this new model of warfare. It's no surprise that both Russia and Ukraine are in a technological arms race for superior drone capabilities. Each innovation by one side is met with a counter by the other. The battlefield has become a deadly machine-focused duel, and Ukraine is holding the advantage. By November, Forbes reported that Russia was attempting to adjust its drone strategy, emphasizing reusable drones over kamikaze models. The Russian military even released footage claiming their interceptor drones could stop Ukrainian long-range drones with tactics as bizarre as dropping a can of stew on them. Whether these claims are credible remains unclear, but they underscore the intensity of the drone race. Meanwhile, Ukraine has improved the lethality of its frontline drones, killing Russian soldiers almost as quickly as new troops are recruited. Ukraine's commander-in-chief, Oleksandr Syrsky, noted in January that December alone saw 33,000 confirmed Russian casualties caused by drones, nearly matching Russia's recruitment of 36,000 soldiers that month. The competition for drone supremacy is one both sides are determined to win. This brings us back to Yelizarov and his ambitions for NATO. While Ukraine and Russia continue to develop drone warfare strategies, Europe's military preparedness lags far behind. Europe has already lost 2 years of preparation for real war, Yelizarov told the Wall Street Journal, criticizing what he sees as empty rhetoric about drones in European defense ministries. There is absolutely nothing behind those words. He is correct. Europe has engaged in extensive discussion about drones, but action has been slow. Plans to build a drone wall to protect parts of the continent remain vague, with little clarity on feasibility or implementation. Even the European Parliament admits that the $7 billion European Drone Defense Initiative, aimed at creating a sophisticated, interoperable drone countermeasure system, will not be fully operational until the end of 2027. All this chatter occurs while Russia continues to test Europe's responses with long-range drone incursions, prompting rapid responses from fighter jets. Since 2018, the UK's Royal Air Force Quick Reaction Alert Team in Lossiemouth has scrambled 76 times, 41 of these in response to Russian military aircraft, likely including drones. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte emphasized Europe's vulnerability in Brussels at the end of January. If anyone thinks that Europe can defend itself without the US, keep on dreaming. You can't. We can't. We need each other. His point highlights the gap that Yelizarov also identifies. Europe must do more to prepare for modern drone warfare. Our innovation is our only salvation in this war, Yelizarov told the Wall Street Journal. Drones have already changed the battlefield and will continue to do so. This can no longer be denied. The world will never be the same again. He is right. Yelizarov believes NATO, especially Europe, needs to move from talk to action. In the meantime, the Lasar Group has turned drone warfare into a streamlined business. The McDonald's-style operation has severely weakened Russia's military, forcing Putin to rely on poorly trained, under-equipped soldiers as cannon fodder in assaults. You can explore more about how Putin's forces are being decimated in our other videos. To keep up with the ongoing evolution of the Ukraine war and the impact of drones, subscribe to The Military Show for the latest analysis and insights.